Hello and welcome back to Stranded Deep, welcome back to Busy Paradise, and welcome back to this island we're making. Last time we went around the island, and we dressed things like the forest floor, and we also added a bunch of rocks and resources and other bits and pieces such as tires and physics objects. Now there are some other things that we are going to need to look at as we scoot through the forest. It's kind of herky-jerky, and I'll explain that momentarily as we jet through to the other side. So, if you're joining us for the first time, we're on the PC version of the map editor in Stranded Deep, and the controls are W to go forward, S to go back, A to go left, D to go right, Q to go down, E to go up, push and hold right mouse button to pan the camera around. Is that everything? No, that is not all, because if we select an object, you are an object. So we have an object. R is rotate, T is transform, F is focus, C is clone, and delete is delete. Is that everything we need to know? No, because if we go to terrain and we look at the brushes, well, we have the smooth height brush and we crank the amount up and we're smoothing the coast because sand is smooth, smooth. And then we go and click on, say, lower on our brush and left click, we'll punch a hole straight to the center of the earth. There is no undo in the map editor. Save often, because if you make a mistake, it's a lot easier to reload. You take the amount slider, you make sure the amount slider is all the way down for your brushes because they're inherited between all the brushes. But wait, there's even more, yes. As you may have noticed as we were going through the forest, everything started slowing down. Everything got a little bit less smooth. There is no constant velocity for the camera in the game, so the camera kind of speeds up and slows down of its own volition. The more objects you have in an area, the slower everything is going to be. The less objects, the faster everything is going to be until you get to the edge of the map and then shoot off towards nowhere land. Anyway, we went around the island last time. So yes, we put a bunch of trees, we put a bunch of little stones, we put some resources, we have the airplane up in the tree. Now there's a few things we need to do. Still need to do. Unbelievably, we've taken quite a long time to do anything on this island. I did say we would luxuriate in this particular build, but I do want to get back into the game and back into doing a playthrough, which is what we normally do on the channel. But, there are some other notes, like the island is slightly broken, and you can kind of tell because there are these straight lines everywhere. That is the result of the smoothing tool working. You can smooth everything out as much as you like. In fact, we'll do that now. Smoothy, smooth, smooth. That looks really nice compared to how it was before. But wait, if we save and come back again, then that smoothing is lost and we end up with kind of a more geometric form to the sand. This is a bug that was introduced to the PC version in 1.0. It shouldn't be here. The sand should be smooth. So what we've done to try and get around that is raise the sand up higher than it normally would need to be. It doesn't look great, but it reduces some of that stepping that we've seen before. Good, excellent. Terrain objects, so we've got nothing selected. There's a reason for doing that. Oh, do we want to explain the reason? I guess so. Look, we've got something selected there, and if we go and select something from here and drag it out, but wait, there we go. Oh no, we've got the aloe vera selected and we've got the rock selected. It's kind of a weird little thing. I'm going to drop that there, and unfortunately this is now, because there's no undo, I'm just going to have to remember where this was and just kind of try and place it back. Okay. So that's why we always click terrain and objects. Good, excellent. Well, we were putting some resources and various bits and pieces down last time. I'm looking in this area of the land and I think that's kind of okay. There was a problem here that I identified, and that's this very straight line, this very straight corridor, and I need to put something here to block that. We do have rack out to sea, which works quite well. We also have an aeroplane up here. Now, what we don't have are some of the other physics objects in the world. So I'm going to jump down here into our forest. We are going to add some more physics objects. So we're going to go to, where are they going to be? Items, I think. So we got jerry cans, kindling, lashings. Do we have a log here? That might be under trees. Spear gun, wood stick. Oh, we can drop some wood sticks in. That might be a good idea. So wood sticks, you can just drop them in. They'll rotate. Because these are physics objects, they will drop down to meet the ground. So I'm just going to leave them slightly above the ground. I'm just going to pop them in and then give it a rotate so they're not all in the same direction. I'm just going to throw them here and there, higgledy-piggledy. The more physics objects you have on an island, the slower the island's going to work. So we've got a bunch of physics objects here, bits of aeroplane that have dropped off. But yeah, we're just going to have bits and pieces that the player can come along and pick up. Sticks in a forest, who knew? Who knew? So we dressed the forest last time. We added a bunch of extra trees and things like the nana plants and the saplings, which is kind of cool. But we need the resources to be put on the island, so that's kind of cool. Let's go around in a big old loop. T to transform, R to rotate, and yeah, it doesn't matter if it's hovering above the ground. When a player gets close to the island, everything renders in and everything falls to the ground. That is perfect. Perfect. Okay. And the reason we're just making sure sticks are like rotated around is that if they weren't, it would just look like we pulled all of the stuff out of the toolbox. So train objects, so we've got nothing selected. What else are we going to add? Well, that's good. We've got tarp panels, which I think you can probably add still. But you shouldn't, because that is an untextured old item that they should have actually removed from this list. Tarp panels don't exist anymore. That got replaced with cloth. So yeah, we can add some lashings if we wanted to. I'm not going to. Kindling, nope. Rations. So what we can do is go here to our long multi-part shipwreck and do things like, let's drop down here. Push ourselves through the door. Now we know that when this renders in the game, there's going to be containers and stuff in here. So what I'm going to do is take a lantern. I'm going to put it in here, T to transform, and I'm just going to have it hovering in the middle. That'll drop down onto the floor, but that means this will be lit up at night. If a player doesn't explore this on their first time in the island or they arrive at night, this is going to be lit up. So they'll be able to take that lantern away. I mean, you can never have too many lanterns. I don't mind giving people lanterns. So that's kind of a cool thing. I think we've got one in the aeroplane. I might actually put a second one in the aeroplane. Let's do that. Yes, we do. Ooh, I really wish we had a smooth camera, but whatever. So we've got one over there. I think what I'm going to do is just grab one here and do the same thing. Just drop it like that. So that's kind of cool. We have two lanterns there. So this thing's going to light up at night. If nobody goes and explores it, because it's not super obvious that you can just walk up a tree and climb all the way to the top. So the tree starts here and you can walk up it to get to the top of the aeroplane. And in fact, you can get over to the other side. Now, what we might do is put something here so the player has an easier time jumping up over the edge. Cloth. Oh yeah, cloth. There we go. So that's something you can add quite freely into the game. Is it textured? Well, yeah, but it's just grey. So that's fun. I'm not going to do that because you can make cloth quite easily in the game. Boy balls, barrels. We've already added barrels before. Boy balls are kind of useful. It might be interesting to add them. So here's the thing, train objects. If we come over to our shipwreck, the thing is the front half of the shipwreck, or is it the rear half? No, I think it's the front half. That is where items like this can spawn. So we don't necessarily need, or it might be the back. One side, it doesn't matter. So yeah, items like this could spawn on the shipwreck. So if you put stuff like that down on the shipwreck, just remember there's going to be a door here, there's going to be containers, there's going to be something, maybe something on the roof. We don't control that, the game controls that. Also, when it comes to things like animals, there will be fish in the sea and birds on the land, so you don't need to worry about stuff like that either. We can put specific items down if we wanted to. Whoop, there we go. Let's just scoot over here. So we could put an air tank down on the airplane, which kind of makes sense. Aircraft do have O2 containers. We could put a couple of them, maybe. A little R to rotate, T to transform. Let's bring that up. They're physics objects. I don't normally want to put too much treasure on an island, but yeah, we can just help the player out a little bit. I'm not going to put gyrocopter parts down because that's just very silly. you can get that from the endgame carrier, and that's just kind of skipping part of the gameplay, so I don't want to help people skip part of the gameplay. Spyglasses, maybe. They're quite easy to get hold of. So trees, where are my logs? Where are my logs? Here we are, wood logs. So terrain objects. And in the path of the aeroplane, what I'm going to do is put some logs down. Now, logs are kind of useful. So I'm going to do this. They come out in the old way, if you remember the old game, when it was back in early access, sort of 0.12, 0.16, things like that. You would find on the beach, there would be a log and it would be standing vertical. That's just because it effectively just got taken out of the toolbox and popped on the beach. So in the area where there are trees knocked over, there's devastation. I'm going to put some logs for the player to find. Let's give them a little rotate. They'll just fall to the floor. I have no idea what this island's going to feel like when you load in for the first time. Probably a bit crunchy in terms of all the stuff loading in. There we go. So, nothing at the front. I just want all the stuff at the back of the aeroplane. So that these are things that have come down as the aircraft has come through the woods. Now, it's been there for a long time, so maybe the logs have been there for a long time, which is why they look like they're from a different species of tree. Suspicious? Not really. T. So yeah, gives the player opportunity just to run through the forest and grab stuff. Nice. I think that's okay for now. So we'll come out of there. Now, what do we want to do about this beach? So there's a bunch of physics objects in there. That's nice. Okay. There's a couple of other things that we are going to need to do in terms of resources. We're going to need to go to rocks. And we are going to need to look at these two, rock and clay. I'm going to put rock down. And I'll put rock down in obvious places. So put rock... obvious but not ugly places. I'll put rock here. What is rock? So rock is a little Viennese whip, a walnut whip. Yeah, walnut whip. And that is a mineable resource. If you need stones, you can grab some mineable resources. I'm going to put one here, one here. And these are really quite useful late game, not so much early game. You can pick rocks up off the ground early game if you want to just get things done. I put one there, one there. I'm not going to do any more for that area, so we'll just find an area here. Yeah, we're having problems with the camera speed. There's a little bit of a problem with the camera speed. What's the problem? It's not fast. And we've also kind of chonked a load of stuff already in the woods. Alright, let's go over here. That feels like here might be a better idea. If the player doesn't want these in the area, they just mine them. It's very easy to do. You take a pick and you chomp all of the rock bits off. So we're just dropping them in the ground to make them look a little less obvious. There we go. So once they're all in the woods, they should be all kind of blended in. So I'm just putting them next to bits of rock. There you go. So there's plenty. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe having these two together is a little bit... No, that seems alright. That's fine. So... yeah, we got plenty. The other thing we're going to need to do is put some stuff in the sea. Oh no, but how will we know where it all is? Well, we can just take the clay. So clay lives in the sea. And we can put it in places where people are going to swim, sort of here. And the reason I'm leaving the ocean on is because I actually want to make sure that this is underneath the waves. Now there are going to be lots of rocks and other things here. These are only the rocks that we've placed, but there's going to be coral, there's going to be rocks, there's going to be fish, there's going to be all manner of stuff around here. Do the same here? No, I'm not going to delete that one. And there's a reason for that. Because if you're cruising in on your raft, you don't want to really be hitting stuff. So I'm going to put it slightly deeper. There you go. And you might say, well, if you give people too much clay, doesn't that again take away some of the fun of the game? Does it? I would say no. Like, you don't really want to make a loot island for people. but during the course of a playthrough, you might get through quite a lot of resources. So I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to put stuff like right on the edge of the abyss. 2 reasons for that. I do not wish for a player to swim out towards the edge of the abyss because it's scary. But also, if you are hacking stuff up and you create physics objects by knocking bits of clay off, they could just fall into the abyss and be lost forever, and then you'll never find them again. And it's just like, well, I did that, I took the risk, and it doesn't even matter. You know, I got so far. What am I doing? So we'll just put some around the island. And it also means that if we are putting resources in the water, it's encouraging the players to go and swim around actually underwater. Boop. So these really do look like walnut whips, it's like a whip of, what is it? It's candy. It's a whip of milk chocolate with a little bit of walnut on top. Hence walnut whip. And now you know. And now you know. So, okay. That's the last one I'm going to throw in, I think. No, maybe one more. One more? Yeah, one more. Alright. So as far as things like sharks and stuff go, I'm not too concerned about putting sharks into the water as animals. We can do that. So train objects. So we've got a bunch of clay around the island. We've got a bunch of rocks sort of centered around our woods. I might put some resources in the woods themselves, the smaller deciduous woods. So how do we do this? Well, we're going to go back to rock. I'm just going to put a rock here. Not so much around here. And then one here. There we go. And then we're going to grab some sticks. So trees. Oh no, they were physics objects, weren't they? That'd be under items. So physics objects. You think everything is alphabetized. It's kind of not. We've got the medical stuff together. We've got the vehicle parts together. We've got the tools together. So wood stick is under W. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of a curious way of doing that, but sure. So, and we know there's one. Oops. Not completely over-rotating it. So yeah, don't typically want too many physics objects. That's just gonna slow everything down. Not too many animals either. Animal AI really does like annihilate a person's ability to run an island. So if you put down 1,000,000 crabs, you've got Crab Island. Crab Island's probably not going to run well on anything. So yeah, limit the number of AI you put on an island, but sure. Right, okay, so the survivor camps, these things are going to have loot boxes on them anyway. When I say loot boxes, they're going to have chests, containers, which spawn with these things. So we actually have 2 of those. The other one's here. Ignore the fact that I couldn't turn the camera. I was just bashing the mouse against the side of the keyboard because I'm that kind of person. So these 2 are going to have resources. This is going to have multiple resources because it is in fact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shipwrecks all together. In fact, is there another one there? No, there isn't. So there's 5 shipwrecks along here, 5 individual shipwrecks. The ones that are on the side probably won't spawn anything. That might spawn a container, I'm not entirely sure. The middle one will, and the other one will. So we've got 1, 2, 3 shipwrecks. So there's a shipwreck there, there's the green one, and then we've got 4 main shipwreck zones. Now what we haven't done is put anything out to sea, so what we can do is go to the cog. Oh no, we've turned the ocean off, but the shadows are all separating from the ground when we pan the camera up and down. What's going on? Well, that's a good question. Glad you asked that. You are very clever. What we're going to do is point the camera at the sky, display ocean, turn that off. And now the shadows are anchored to the ground. Why does that happen? Why does anything happen? I don't know. I don't know. Probably something clever. Maybe. Shipwreck 2A. We've already got Shipwreck 2A on the land, but what I'm going to do is zoom out from the island. Oh wow, we've made a very big island. So we do have one out to sea. We've got the big shipwreck in the north. We've got the little rowboat to the south, and east and west we've got... Well, we have an area here. That's kind of spookums. We haven't put anything in, so we could put a shipwreck here. I think this is shipwreck zone, so I'm going to turn the ocean back on and grab ourselves a pretty little shipwreck. 13A. That's a big shipwreck. That's too big. Can't do that. I mean, if you want to build an island around the cargo ship, that's fine. I mean, you do you. There's a lot of loot on it, though. It's essentially just loot everything. This thing... So there's a problem with this. I'm going to put that in the sea, like so. That giant mast, you'll see that for miles around. And unfortunately, because we put stuff up in the airplane, this mast is just going to be too big. Also, this wreck never tends to have much good stuff on it anyway, so I'm going to get rid of that. So yeah, you see the giant mast, you go swim down onto it and you think, oh, I'm going to get some treasure in my pants. My pants are going to be full of treasure. And then it never really happens. You never really get the treasure pants. Just going to find a shipwreck that fits in the ground, really. Oh yeah, the yacht. Like, nobody ever said, this is what I want. This is what I want to go exploring. A yacht. It's super spooky. When you see it underwater, it is actually terrifying. I don't know what it is, the shape or something. So I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, I think it's just the shape of it. Like, pop you down. You see that underwater and you're like, I'm not diving on that. No. Where are we? Florida Keys? It's probably full of sharks. Okay, so shipwrecks that we haven't used. Well, we've used all of them. We haven't used this one. Can we get it down far enough that you can see it? But you can also sail over the top of it. Because I want the approaches to be clear. So we'll look at the sky, praise the sun, turn the ocean off, look down again. Yeah, cool. All right. So this might actually work. T to transform. No, select the object. T to transform. Right. Plonk you down into the sand. The abyss. Nobody likes diving over the abyss. Is there a more comfortable place we can put this for the player? Not really. I think if we want a big shipwreck, that's where it's going to have to be. Oh. All right. All right. We'll think about this. I'll think about this. Okay. Put the ocean back on. Grab you by clicking on objects and then getting rid of you. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Are you okay? I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just trying to work out how to put this in without being terrifying. I think there works best. And there's a reason for that. Yeah, that works best. Okay, so the reason for that is it's actually quite far from the abyss. And I can see that. Whoa. Hey, the shadow to the left of the screen where the mouse pointer is that the shadow of the boat? Does kind of look like that. Weird. Okay. So you should be able to sail a raft over the top of it. And that's fine. So the raft can go over the top of it. The top of the roof is showing and the mast is showing. But the mast isn't taller than our aeroplane. And then that's kind of critical. What's also critical is that now, if we go swimming, we've got a chunky wall of steel between us and the abyss, and we can see that, and we can go and grab some bits off of it. If you're going to chop off things like tires, if anything sort of is here, that's fine. It also gives the player something underwater to explore, so you end up having to swim through here underwater, which is the threat of, you know, getting stuck or whatever. That's fine. That's fine. It might be that rocks and coral actually jam all this up, but that's just a risk you have to take when you put stuff down there. But it does mean that as you're walking around, you go, oh, there is something there I can go and swim and find it. It's unusual because all of the other shipwrecks are either onshore or they're not so far offshore that... Where are you? Boop. They're not so far offshore that you can actually swim to it quite safely. So we have different grades of shipwreck. We have onshore, offshore, and deep water, which is kind of neat. And then we have our centerpiece, which is this lad here. The DC-3, the Douglas Dakota, the C-47 Skytrain. I don't know. You call it what you want. It's none of those, but it's what we're working with. Seafault Bridge. Yeah, so I was looking at this. I was wondering if we could actually use the Seafault Bridge. I think it's going to be too big. It's too big. My word, it's massive. Oh, Lord, it's so big. Alright. So we can't do that. And we can't... I don't think we can do much with the door. Yeah, look. We can. We can actually put a door here. Now, I have a question. I don't actually know how the door works. If you place it as an object, whether it's a physics object or whether it just sits in the world. I do know that it's quite tricky to get back up onto the aircraft. So what we can do is do a little test. Just a little test. So I'm gonna put this in where the engine nacelle is. So the engine nacelle is forward. What? Is that what you call it? Yes. Where the engine is, that's a nacelle. Why? Because it's a shroud that goes over the engine. Right, so I'm kind of curious as to whether this will work. That is definitely touching. I'll leave the door there. That might be neat. What are the other doors that we have that we can work with? We have a door from the big shipwreck, and we have a door from the big shipwreck, but busted. Oh, interesting. Door with a lever. That might be better, you know. Rather than the door with the Yale lock on it. Okay, fine. What we'll do then is I'll do the same thing. I think on an airplane you can have a door with a lever rather than a door with a Yale lock. What's a Yale lock? It's this lock at the top. So it's the sprung-loaded lock that when the door closes, it catches, and then you put a key in there and open it up. In America, well, at least in the films from North America, from the US of A, they put the lock in the middle of the handle, which is weird from a security point of view, because that limits the... Well, I should imagine it limits the ability of the lock based on just its volume alone. So I want to make sure this is selected and not the whole aeroplane. It just skipped. And I was like, don't want it to skip onto whatever it feels like. So I'm going to put two doors here and I'm going to see if they are going to work. So terrain objects. Right. So what we're going to need to do is save and then see if these doors in fact do what they need to do, or if that's a massive mess and we need to get rid of them. I could just put a rock there or something to make it easier to jump over, but if it's something that's similar to what we already have, then that might be a better option. So I'm gonna hit save because you need to save. Yeah, and resume. So we've gone around, we've put some more resources down, which is fine. We put all the resources on the outside of the island, another shipwreck. I don't think there's anything else we need to do. We do need to do one more polish pass. We need to sort that beach out. Yeah, a polish pass. I tell you what we're going to do though. We're going to hit escape and we're going to go back to the main menu. And we're back in the main game and we have the island. We had to raise all of this beach up because we had a bit of a problem with geometry. Everything was too straight, well, not looking great. But we've done what we can. We smoothed what we could, and it didn't work out that well. But it doesn't look too noticeable now we're back in here. This is the area we smoothed just now. Is that looking okay? Nope, it's a big long straight line. Well, that's exactly what I thought it was going to be. But that's not what we're here to look at. We're here to look at the aeroplane because I want to know if those doors are physics objects or not. So here we are. Here's one of the boxes from the aeroplane itself. Here's another one. I told you the physics objects will just fall to the floor. Here's some rock. Here's a tire that was floating before. One of the logs. We never put any of the logs on the ground, so it's kind of nice to see that logs are actually on the ground. Tire from the aeroplane, as well as a jerry can and a bit of metal. So we have all of these bits and pieces that we've just put into the world. But can we now climb all over the aeroplane with abandon? So we'll go up the log, which will allow us to climb all the way onto the roof. Now these two things. Ah, interesting. Yeah, okay. So that's kind of weird. We can, in fact, walk up there. We can walk up and down. So if we want to leave this green, I think the green door is probably better than this door. But it does make it a little bit easier to jump up and down on the side of the airplane rather than trying to have to glitch onto a window and up. So as a compromise, what we can do is we can leave these doors here. They're not physics objects, but they do have... Yeah, I think the green one actually works better, even with its weirdness as it clips through the wing. But it is there so you can literally just walk up. So now what you can do is you can walk inside, and we didn't put that on the floor, we didn't put that on the floor. That is stuck because the tree is kind of clipping through, and oh yeah, that. So that's something we're gonna have to fix because that is now blocking that thing's spawn. Cockpit. Oh, we got a nice view from the cockpit. And if we try to, well, yeah, we're not gonna be jumping out of there anytime soon. Right, so everything else is fine. Normally you'd be swimming around this thing on the bottom of the ocean. Thunderbox. So if you want to prey on the porcelain potty, then you can do that. And the forest, which is all the way down there. Nice. Good. Yeah, I think the door is going to make it slightly easier. So I think we'll leave the green one and get rid of the grey one. And of course, the tail plane. Yes, the tail plane, which allows us to see into and jump down into the water below. Sploosh. Okay, cool. So that all works. I think it's a bit of a compromise to put the door there, but I think it's going to work. I think it'll be fine. As with everything else, so we put a bunch of resources in the woods. Everything else has its own resources, so oh yeah, we put some lanterns in here. Better see how they work. Make sure they're not blocking anything. We're putting physics objects inside an area where there may be other items spawning in. So the lantern, yeah, lantern fell on the floor, and everything else is absolutely fine. So this all works nicely. And this does look like it is all part of... Oh, I'm just going to try and jump on the roof. I'm not going to do that. It looks like it was part of one big old shipwreck. Ah, that's the wood container from this section. And can we grab... Oh, I can't get to it. But yeah, you can grab the thing on the roof. And we also made this wider. We've made this a little bit wider around here. Neat. Ah, there's the old island. Old home island. Way out on the horizon with a big house and everything. So there's old home island. And this will be new home island when we eventually start doing a playthrough. Good. So there's not too much left to do. I said there wasn't too much left to do last time, but there really isn't too much to do this time. We do need to come along. We did try and fix these beaches by making them all up and down, which has worked for the most part. I think there may need to be something here. I need to cool down. Oh, well, we need to jump in the sea and have a little swim around because SPF is really kicking our ass. So I'm going to leave it there for the time being. If you like these videos and you haven't yet subscribed, consider subscribing. It is free and it really helps the channel out. If you want to really help the video out, then leave a little like, because leaving a like is going to help everything. There's a lot of purple boys, and there's the clay we put down. Leaving a like also helps things out, and again, it's a free thing to do, and it makes you feel good, it makes me feel, it makes everyone feel good. And I tell you what, I'll catch you next time.